Live and direct. It's Sway in the morning.
Right here on Shade 45.
Right now, man, we in Brooklyn, New York, and if there was any name that's synonymous with Brooklyn, it has to be his. Fabolous is with me. We're hanging out with A&I, celebrating the Q96s. We got ours on. Check it. Do you still get excited when you hear your music in the arena?
Yeah, man. I still like that. Even the chant that came from a record that a while ago me and Jay did a Brooklyn record that we did, and I was on it saying Brooklyn, like, and it turned into the chant. So that was the first time I came in. It was like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying, that connection has been made. Even whether everybody knows it's from me or not, like, you know, just, you know, something that you brought to the game is so heavy, and now even another. This is a whole nother, this is not even music. This is, you know, people who are fans of basketball. So, you know, when I first saw that, it was definitely like, I love hearing my joints at the game, especially in Brooklyn. Like, you know what I mean? I never even thought I would see this in Brooklyn. So, you know, it just keeps advancing for you, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It is crazy, man. And now you got not only you got this arena in Brooklyn, the Nets look good this year.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Far. I mean, it's only the first game.
Yeah, we got a squad, man. We up against the Heat right now in the third, so you know we ain't no punks, and I think they got good chances, man. I think they got a solid team. They got some veterans. They got some guys who can score. They poised. They're not, you know, young hothead guys. You know, they got some young guys too, like Andre and stuff as well. So I think they got a well-rounded bunch. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you need in a team. You know what I'm saying?
We got Allen Iverson. We in this Reebok suite, and always see you around Reebok.
Right.
So, and I've never known you to endorse or be affiliated to anything that didn't have something unique or special about it. You know, just like you have always had about your approach to music.
Right.
What is something significant that you think Reebok brought to Allen Iverson brought to the game of basketball in the NBA?
Well, one, I'm a shoe guy, so I always pay attention to what's going on in the shoe world. Two, Reebok, I think, you know, commits to the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like they you know, sided with Allen Iverson when Allen Iverson was bringing kind of hip-hop style to the NBA, you know what I'm saying? And you know, the NBA at first was a little touchy on it. They didn't know if they wanted a guy on the cover of Slam magazine with his braids out and, you know, a big chain hanging down, like, you know, with his jersey on. You know what I'm saying? They was a little shaky about that representation, and I think Iverson brought that full-fledged. Like, I'm going to give y'all me, I'm going to play with my heart, and I'm going to give y'all me, and I'm going to give y'all where I come from. You know what I'm saying? So I always loved that about Iverson, and Reebok committed to that. You know, they gave him his first shoe and said, yo, we going to ride you through there, and, you know, they're still committed. You know what I'm saying? He just retired, and they still here behind him and taking him, you know, now he's in Brooklyn, now he's in Philly the other day. So they still showing the commitment, man, and I love to see, you know, brands do that. As far as when I get behind or rock with a brand, it's usually a brand that, like, you know, have committed to the culture or committed to me, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think Reebok has did that, man. We and Reebok go back a long time. So Allen Iverson, the tattoos, the braids, those things became significant with him, and I think he was the first player that you could really just, you know, lock in and say, yo, he represents that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the other guys, even if they lived it off the court or off camera, you know, you didn't really see it too much in the game. He brought that in his game, everything. He brought the crossover that they had to ban. Like, you know, he brought that whole hip hop style, and that he basically thugged his way in, and once they let him in, he's like, all right, I'm gonna be me now. I'm in here, I'm gonna be me. And you always gotta love a person who's naturally being them.
You know, they got the Q96s.
Yeah.
You know,
they laced us up. You know, they laced us up.
I might have to get a different color, Fab.
Yeah.
You know? But what would, as a sneaker connoisseur, man, what are the qualities that you like most about these that stand out that would make you want to wear them?
Well, I like quality. So, I love that, the leather and the textures are all, you don't look down at them and say, man, is that leather? Like, you know what I'm saying? When you can't have anything questionable, you know what I'm saying? So everything gotta look right, first of all. It's also a dope thing to have a great guy who represents, something fly behind it as well, or a guy who you respect their work ethic, and so that's always good.
I like you on that game track.
Oh, which one was it? Oh, the All That. Yeah. I knew Game since he kind of first ushered in the game, even before the Dre situation, and some of my mutual friends. He just was in the streets.
The bigger days?
Nah, not that far back. Just
I went to
that was woo.
Okay, my bad. Reel it in. But you knew him before the Dre day.
I knew before the Dre day. It was his thing was just starting to pick up, and Dre was getting wind of him as well. And we had some mutual friends, so it's like, yo, I want to get you with this guy Game, and I heard his raps, and I was like, yo, this kid is pretty tough, especially from being from the West Coast, because you always look at the West Coast at that time as a certain sound, and I felt like he broke off from just being to the same way Kendrick is doing now. You know what I'm saying? Game was one of the guys who broke off from just everything West Coast sound like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where we started working from back then. We even just did a freestyle over a few beats, and we kept in touch, through ups and downs, through his 50 Cent beefs and everything. He always still was a cool dude, and he came to New York, he would hit me up and stuff like that, and vice versa when I go out to LA. So we've always been friends, and it's still leading to collaborations today.
What did you? I'm sure you learned being out on tour. The face of hip hop is constantly evolving, constantly changing, and being on tour is not just. I would imagine it's not just performing, but it's also collecting data. Right. What have you noticed? How have people? I remember when you and I did this the event with Carmelo
Yep.
And you performed last. Friends performed, opened up for you.
Right.
And what impressed me most is that you had little kids that knew your music.
Right.
And you had grown adults that knew your music. But the music was older than some of the kids that knew it.
Right.
And so when y'all were out on tour, how did the audience react to you?
It translated, man. Like I think great music or timeless music always translates throughout different age groups and genres, and the reason why hip-hop is overseas, because great hip-hop is great hip-hop, and it's a culture too. The music breeds what you're living and also how you living. So when I went on tour, I got to see that. I got to see people in different cities that are not your typical A markets or your most popular markets, but there's still people in these markets who enjoy your music, and that was refreshing to see. You know what I'm saying? I went out with Pusha T my last time out, and we represent, I guess, two guys who've been in the game for a while, and have generated fans throughout that time. And there's, of course, hip hop gets younger every day, but it also grows up every day too. So we still have to represent that mind, for the guy who started listening to us when he was 21, and now he might be 29. You know what I'm saying? He needs some different kind of music to put him in a different space. You know what I'm saying? And I need that. I need that sometimes. I love listening to what's going on in the club and what's the name, but sometimes I need something that's gonna push me in a different direction. Like, oh yeah, that guy he said something. You know what I'm saying? Something that touched me, man. I told Drake is one of the guys who's from this generation, and but he can rap. No matter what you say about the kid, he can rap. And one of the realest things that I'm sure he has a lot of hooks and a lot of party records that everybody love. I listened to one of his joints one time, and he said one of the lyrics was saying something about if you go through his phone, like he hadn't spoke to, he just heard that his grandma's got moved to a nursing home, and he be acting like he don't know how to work a phone. But if you look through his phone, you see you see that he just called some chick he met at the mall that he barely know at all. You know what I'm saying? Which hit me so hard because I looked at it and said, damn, when was the last time I called my grandmas, man? You know what I'm saying? Like it just hit me in a minute. I had to stop the song and call my grandma. And people are not like rap used to do that for people. It used to make you like live in what is going on. And I told him that was my favorite shit that he's ever said. Like that touched me. You know what I'm saying? Because you get so caught up in life sometimes, whether you hustling, whether you doing music, whether you on tour, whether you at basketball games, whether you playing ball, whatever your profession is, you get caught up in it. And, you know, some of the things are the smallest things that you just overlooking sometimes, you know, just checking in on your grandma. And I had to sit there and say, damn, I ain't speak to my grandmoms in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like literally I don't know what's going on in her life. And this is somebody who raised me, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who was so evident in my life. So, you know, I like stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And I like the party and I like that. But as I'm getting, you know, I grew up in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like Rudy or something. People have seen me, you know, you see me from a throwback jersey and just coming in and little kid with a big hat and a big shirt on to where we are now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm one of the few guys that's actually grown up in this, man.
And you still a young man.
Right.
That's what's great about it. Just pushing you. I think both you dudes are lyricists, man. You were the most clever. I don't know if it's an expert word for metaphorist.
Yeah. Yeah, the metaphorist.
You the metaphorist.
Yeah.
Did y'all like vibe out in the studio, or did y'all record anything together? Or
well, right before we did the tour, we had recorded a song for my mixtape that I put out right before the tour. It was called Life Is So Exciting. So we used to perform that every night, and it was actually, I think, you know, when we had sat and talked, besides musically, I felt like it was good for, you know, our generation to get out here and get back on the road and let the kids see us. You know what I'm saying? We make music in different rings. We do features. We do, you know, we get out here in the streets, but let's get out here on the road, man. Let's touch the people a little bit. You know, so I always thought that was great. But you know, we kick it all the time. We've been good friends for, I want to say, close to 10 years, you know, just chopping it up, and, you know, when things is going on, bringing each other in. Like, he came out to my studio in Jersey one night and played me My Name Is My Name before it dropped, you know what I'm saying? And I heard the records, and I was really liking where he was going. Before the world heard it, I was like, yo, you know, because I'm honest with my friends. If I don't think that's you. I don't think that's, you know, I like certain things, but I don't like this. And I'll be honest with him. I just, you know, it's just my opinion. But I was really comfortable with where Pusha was going, and I think that's why I think he did well, you know, with his release, because I think people saw that comfort. You know, I think even some of the younger generation guys now, they're getting to adapt from what we've had to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see, let's say for instance the Brooklyn Nets thing with Jay. Where he was connected to that. Now Drake is able to do that with the Toronto Raptors at a much younger age. He's doing that at, I don't know how old Drake is, maybe 27, 26, but Jay did it at 40. So by Jay opening the door at 40, he's opening the door for somebody who's 26, 27, you know what I'm saying, and opening the door for hip-hop. I think it's a process, man, and hip-hop is growing up too, you know what I'm saying? I think we got to stand on what we mean to as a culture, you know what I'm saying? What we mean to people. When you at a game, you hear hip hop music. We're relevant to what's going on. You know, we've become the new rock and roll, so to say. You know, I heard Kanye preaching how he's the rock star, the most evident, the innovator of culture, and you know, he is a god. Like, you know, this because he feels that, you know, he's doing the things that are innovating people in this time. You know what I'm saying?
Barney's have a racial profiling controversy, and people are looking at Jay.
Right. Save the day, Jay.
Yeah.
Save this. What's going on with this, Jay?
Yeah. So, you know, Jay mentions, goes to Cuba, and they mad at the president.
The secretary had to come and make us like, listen, we did not. I don't care what Jay-Z said in his rap. We did not okay him to go to, like, you know, like, this is crazy that this guy had to address this. That's how I looked at it. I'm like, yo, we're in the White House conversation right now. Beyond crazy, man.
It's a beautiful thing. You know, one last thing I want to ask you. You were one of the first artists to really take full advantage of social media. And you did it well. You caught that first wave. And then since then, even like you talk about all the things that have evolved, the way people use social media has evolved. Obviously, you know, as an industry has evolved. There's so many different platforms to choose from now. So it's been a good thing for a lot of artists. A lot of artists have been discovered. A lot of artists have sustained through social media. But man, I got a problem with it personally.
Yeah.
I got issues with it.
Right.
You know, because I think there's a lot of BS opinions that are out there that can affect
the world.
Yeah, right. How do you feel about it?
I feel the same way, man. I've always had as being an entertainer, I've always heard you gotta have thick skin. Yeah. So I never really let it alter too much. I love opinions in the sake of, you know, in the conversation and the people of opinions who respect or know what they're talking about. People who have done, you know, some of the things that, you know, they're telling you, they're speaking of. People's opinions in general are just that, opinions. You know what I'm saying? So you can take them, you can use them, but when people misuse their opinions and try to, you know, also change other people's opinions with their opinions, that's where it gets a little on the line for me, because I feel like, you know, social media, social network is just really an entertainment like tool. You know what I'm saying? So artists use it to give more of their self in an age where, you know, the internet makes information available. So you want to give more to yourself more than somebody else can give it, so you do it. But at the same time, sometimes people take what you're giving, twist that around, give their own interpretations of it, flip it around, and you know, and you end up getting a bad rap for trying to share a little bit more, you know, of yourself. So I think social media overall, I think it has its pros and cons, and I think it's always going to have that. You have to be able to manage it. You definitely have to have thick skin, and I think you got to share. In this era, you do got to share. This is not the Michael Jackson era where, you know, you never saw Michael and it kept this mystique and mirage. I think there is still some mystique to artists that you have to protect a little bit, but at the same time, it's not as far back as the Michael Jackson Madonna mystique where, you know, you couldn't even fathom seeing Michael Jackson type of thing. And I think, you know, you gotta balance it. You know what I mean? You gotta balance how much you give, and you know, and don't lose your character. I see some guys, I feel like they go too far. You know what I mean? Sometimes sometimes you get caught in it. You know, I see guys arguing with people via Twitter and making threats, and you know, I even had something with my Ray J thing has started through a Twitter thing, and you know what I'm saying, because everybody throwing it. That's what kind of slowed me down on it, because I felt like, you know, I'm gonna end up getting myself in a situation where I may go further, and people are not in that same. Everybody don't move or operate the same way you do. You know what I'm saying? Some people are gonna say stuff on Twitter, but when you see them, they're not gonna even have that same intent. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's catchy. It's pros and cons, man. I think we have to use it as entertainers, as information givers, as people who are educating the world. You know what I'm saying? That's why I try to show things that I feel passionate about, things that are funny to me, things that, you know, I think were dope, things that I'm willing to promote, that I think is cool. You know, I try to show that more than I just try to bash anything or you know what I'm saying? Because I don't think that's me. If people seen that from me, it wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't get it. So
I think people expect you're a funny dude. So
yeah.
I think people expect something funny from you.
Yeah.
Even the way you handle the Ray J thing.
Yeah.
So like in the mood and made it fun for everybody to kind of follow.
Right.
And, you know, some of the things you said, I think he's a chess player. You're a classic guy.
Right. And I think that's just not even a place to entertain the other shit, the friction or any kind of, like, if that is to come and it has to go that way, we men. So if it has to come to that, you know, it comes to that, but it doesn't come to that on Twitter. You know what I mean? Because now you're giving too much information. It can't be real anymore. You know what I'm saying? It can only be real off of Twitter. You know what I'm saying? So I always look at that too. When I see some guys like, oh, you know, what's the name? I'm like, oh, that's not gonna be nothing. They're gonna see each other, take a picture, and slap hands and say it was cool. You know, but a lot of insults are being said, and you know, and that's why you never know which way it can go. You know, people are, like we said, we're men, we're women, we're individuals. You want your respect. You know, Twitter's a big place full of millions of people. You saying stuff there, it spreads all around. Your integrity, your respect, your pride. Yeah, all of that gets into play. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a lot to even suck that up. You know, there's not a lot of people who can say, you know what, I'm not gonna say nothing here. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot.
I almost stopped reading Twitter. Yo, fast. Yeah. Always good.
Always good to talk, brother. I feel like these don't be interviews, it's just talks. We should just have these. Let's just have some conversation every once in a while, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And then next conversation we'll have will be around that mixtape you drop.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, fabulous.
You're listening to Sway in the morning
On Shade 45.